This is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and today I'm going to be reviewing Adventure Games, The Dungeon from Kosmos Games. So here's the starting setup for Adventure Games, The Dungeon. I'm not going to show you anymore because I want to avoid spoilers, but this is basically how any game of this would start. You have room tiles. The first one's, of course, flipped over. You have item cards where you can check out some different items that you may discover throughout the course of the game. There's some adventure cards and there's some ending cards that you'll be instructed to flip over at various points. So you basically do set up, put your meeples out, and off you go. The game is about 3 chapters, about 90 minutes each. And you can essentially save at any point by taking a picture of your game state and then setting it back up when you come back to play some more. And this is a really simple game mechanically. Every turn, you move to a location of your choice. So at the beginning, there's really only one location that you got to figure out how to get out of. And then you can choose from a number of things to do. The first thing you'll start with, obviously, is exploring location numbers. So each location is going to have some numbers on it. And what you're going to do is to find out what happens at that number, you're going to look that number up in the adventure book. And there will be a little paragraph of flavor text. It's, atmospheric and fun. And then it's going to tell you what happens. So maybe something new will open to you, or maybe you'll get hurt, or maybe you'll get a card. You just don't know until you try. In addition to looking at different spots and locations, you can do things like combine adventure cards. So if I have cards 10 and 11, I can look up 10, 11 in the adventure book and then see if combining those cards is going to do anything for me or not. And there will be points where you have to solve things by combining your cards. You can also choose to combine an adventure card with a location number. So I could do 10, 701 and just kind of see what happens. Obviously, these are not actual combos. I'm just pointing at what's visible. But you can also combine adventure cards and locations to read the corresponding entry in the adventure book for that. You can also share with other players, both in terms of sharing cards and in terms of sharing information. It's fully cooperative, and you just explore until you break out of this dungeon. The game is very forgiving. It's clearly focused on you making it through the entire story. The game does have a scoring system, but you should not worry too much about it. Your health and your score play into how well you feel you did at the end of the game, but really the game is very story focused and it's about making it through the entire story. So as you run out of health, you might flip your cards over to gray. When you can no longer flip cards over, you return one to the box. But once you get down to your last health, you actually can't lose it. So there's no way to actually lose the game and never make it to the end. There's no point where you have to start back over. There just may be games that are more successful than others in terms of making it through in one piece. And then at the end, you have a few different endings that can happen to you. So see which one you get. And that is as spoiler-free of an overview as I can give of the adventure games. Very simple, very straightforward, very much more focused on exploring and having a good time than on the technicalities. All right, so now for some final thoughts. I overall thought this game was very, very charming. It worked very, very well. And so overall, it's definitely a success. I'll just say that up front. I would say the thing that makes it so successful is kind of the same thing that makes the exit games successful, which is that Kosmos is very good at creating experiences that you can start with right out of the box. And their instructions are clear. They give you all the materials that you need to just kind of get started. And it just really feels like a thought out, well-organized product. And I think that's part of why their small box games are just really good. They're just so consistent. I was really happy to find that quality was not only present in the Exit series, which I like, but in this Adventure Games series, which I now also like. One of the things that makes this game different from the Exit games, however, is that you can actually just play through the whole story no matter how well you do. So there are hints if you get stuck in the adventure guide, which I think is really nice. But it doesn't really matter if you're great at playing this game, because even if you're down to just 1 health, you can still keep going and having a good time playing the game. So the focus on you finishing the story as opposed to correctly solving the puzzle, I think gives this game a lightness and kind of a relaxing factor that I personally think is really good. Especially because if the game is in fact about progressing through a story, then maybe de-emphasizing the puzzle aspects so that people who are struggling can still have a good time is important. That said, the puzzles were really, really fun. They weren't super difficult, but they were enjoyable the way that, say, a point and click is really enjoyable. So I really love computer games like Broken Sword or other sort of point and click adventures where you pick up items and you can combine them and you talk to different people in the game and you go from location to location. So this might sound familiar because the adventure games are like an analog version of that and one that you can share with other people. Which I think is where actually I might have one concern about the adventure games as a solo game. So the game is fun. There's no question that as a solo gamer, you will be able to have a good time and you can explore and you can like put stuff together, and it's very enjoyable. That said, I do think that it might be more enjoyable with other people, because once again, this would be a fun story to share with someone else. It would be nice to argue about what to do with the item cards, and the game is really clearly built for that. So I think if you want the maximum experience of this game, it's actually better to do it with at least one other person. That said, it is fun solo, but it's also a little clunkier than the other solo way to play point and click games, which is a computer or an iPad. And while this game is fun, and I'll totally pick up another one in the series just to kind of entertain myself, this is one of those very few situations where I might actually prefer digital to analog. I didn't like having to save my progress by taking notes or taking a picture of where I was at. When I play something like Broken Sword, it just saves it for me, and I open up my game again, and off I go. That said, this is the cleanest and simplest analog implementation of a point-and-click game that I can imagine, outside of maybe the graphic novel adventures from Van Ryder games, which are also really fun. So if you're looking for a sort of point-and-click, combine items, low-pressure experience in a game, then I think that these adventure games are a really, really good choice for you. I will say I think they are going to be slightly better with another person, just so you have someone to share the story with. That said, I enjoyed this game. I will definitely pick up another in the series, and I give it a 7 out of 10, a Dice Tower seal of approval. Happy gaming!